Crypto Caesar Capital. Hope you're well. It's Saturday, the 28th of June, 2025, and we're going to have a look at a few things first. Firstly, we're going to talk about allocation to crypto assets, and we're going to look at the current setup of Bitcoin. We're going to look at the bullish case, the bearish case. We're going to look at the 4-year cycle, whether the 4-year cycle, as a lot of people are saying, is dead, or whether it might extend. We're going to look at the bullish factors for the market, and we are going to then consider the question of when alt season. So first things first, if you want to join the group, this is the website. These are the memberships. The most popular membership is premium, $499 a year. It's less than a cup of coffee a day. And you get a heck of a lot for that. We help lots of crypto investors, whether they're seasoned investors or new investors. We have an expert team who can assist you on your journey and assist you and make sure that you make the right decisions rather than the wrong decisions. If you want to join the group, send us an email via the website, link in the description, or you can just come and check out my Twitter or X profile. And you can DM me directly from there. Make sure you DM the Crypto Caesar with the blue tick so you don't get scammed. Okay, first things first. Let's have a look at the setup for Bitcoin. So I'm looking at the setup at the moment on the daily time frame for Bitcoin. And it's very, very similar to the setup in Q1 of 25. Very, very similar. And in my view, there is a strong likelihood that we might get a similar move. Bitcoin, since the low really back in 22, has been trading in a very sort of orderly fashion. And I think that that's because we've now got institutions involved. And if you look at Bitcoin, it looks like a tech stock, really. There's long periods of consolidation, then breakouts, then long periods of consolidation and breakouts. A lot of people are saying, this is the hardest crypto market I've ever had to trade in my life. A lot of crypto bros are saying that. But from someone like me who comes from a traditional finance trading background, to be honest, Bitcoin, maybe not altcoins, but Bitcoin has been the easiest trade in this cycle, and this is my third cycle. So, it's just these long periods of consolidation, then breakouts. So you can see here we had the high in January 25 of about 107, 108K. Then there was this period of consolidation. Then at that point, when Bitcoin was trading at 74K, the RSI was down here at 34. Then there was this breakout up to the high here of 112, and now there's been this period of consolidation again. Very, very similar to this setup here. And the RSI at 74K was about 35, 34. Then the RSI came down almost to the same area. It was at about 38, and Bitcoin was in fact at about 98, 99K. So it's pretty these sort of like higher lows on the RSI, showing strength, and then breaking out. The last time Bitcoin was around in the sort of mid 30s RSI or thereabouts, when it was trading at 74K. When it broke out, it sort of marched up 49%. If it does that this time, 49% takes us to around about 147, 150K. So that wouldn't surprise me if there is a breakout of this channel. Maybe there's some further consolidation going back to the bottom of it. It's quite possible. Might be some more summer consolidation, boring summer consolidation, or there could well be a breakout of this and straight to 150K. I would say it wouldn't surprise me if Bitcoin was trading at 150K August this year, then another period of consolidation like previously, then possibly the final rip on the 4-year cycle up to a higher high above 150K. So that's where we are on the setup of Bitcoin. I just want to talk to you actually about allocation. I should have started with that, but it doesn't matter. That's the current setup of Bitcoin. That's the way I see it. But allocation, when you're investing in crypto is so important. The problem I see every day with people who join my group, or just people on X or YouTube or various social media channels, is that they have no allocation at all to Bitcoin. That's the biggest mistake you can make. They're completely and utterly overexposed to altcoins, and even worse, some of them are overexposed to mid cap and low cap altcoins, which is literally the worst thing you can do. And that's why these people are feeling the pain. That's why these people are moaning all the time. That's why these people can't sleep at night properly. They've just got too greedy and overexposed themselves to complete and utter dog shit. And, you know, probably not a good idea, okay? When you're investing in traditional markets, you need hedges, you know, and when you're investing in crypto, it's the same thing. You need a hedge, and your hedge is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a global asset class. It's an institutional global asset class, okay? So you need Bitcoin in your portfolio. Yes, it's probably not going to go up 10x in the next, 12 months or so, but you need it in your portfolio. I mean, we took position Bitcoin around from 20 to 15K. You know, we're almost up 10x now in the group from that. Once it gets 150K, that's a 10x return, which is pretty damn good, okay? But the whole point of having Bitcoin in your portfolio is your hedge. It's your stable asset class that you've got in your portfolio. It's just going to grind and grind for you. Bit like having gold in a traditional finance portfolio. So what I always say to people who come into my group is that you need at least, I'll say it again, at least 50% Bitcoin in your portfolio. To be honest, it's probably better to have more than that, sort of 70, 75, 80% Bitcoin. It's much better to be that way. But if you want to take the risk, everyone has a different sort of risk profile. Everyone has a different risk appetite. But if your risk appetite is fairly high and you're quite young, then 50% Bitcoin. So 50% Bitcoin in the portfolio, then you can look at sort of stronger types of altcoins for the next 25%. So looking at Solana, looking at Sui, looking at Ethereum, those kind of altcoins, Link, etc. They should make up at least the other 25% of your portfolio, or the other 50% of your portfolio. But if you were to take more risk, then the other 25% of the portfolio can then be the mid caps, the low caps, etc. Okay, but that's the best way to look at a portfolio. I've written about this extensively. I do videos about it extensively. I travel the world and speak at crypto conferences about this extensively. Just really, really important that you have a good allocation and a proper balanced portfolio. It's going to help you sleep at night. Okay, so allocation, setup, we dealt with those. So let's have a look at 4-year cycle, or is the 4-year cycle dead? So I'm not going to go through the entirety of the 4-year cycle. Go back and look at my previous videos if you want to understand properly the 4-year cycle. The 4-year cycle has nothing really to do with the halving, although the halving plays a part in it. A halving isn't exactly every 4 years, but what has been so far pretty much every 4 years is the low of Bitcoin and arguably the high of Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin has previously traded in this 4-year cycle. So every low, you can map it out low to low. For example, this low in December 18 to this low in November 22 is about 208 weeks or thereabouts, which is 4 years. And if we were to trade another 4-year cycle again, then we'd be looking at a low around about sort of December 2026. When the high comes, it is a little bit more tricky, but actually, arguably, the highs have come in around about the 4-year point as well. This one, 205 weeks. Previous high was around about high to high, 211 weeks. So they are similar, but when you're measuring cycles, you should be measuring the lows of the cycles, because the low of a cycle, the trough of the cycle, represents the death of one cycle and the rebirth, or not, or the new birth of a new cycle. So, question is: does Bitcoin continue to follow the 4-year cycle? Does it sort of find a high in sort of Q4 2025? My view is that I think that Bitcoin may well continue to follow the 4-year cycle. Right now, it doesn't look as though anything is broken, but there is a possibility that it might extend out beyond you know, the December time, maybe it goes January, February, and then it finds its high before continuing to the downside. So if that were to happen, you know, it would look something like this. So a traditional 4-year cycle would look something like this, where Bitcoin would kind of up to its peak and then start trading down to its low in December of 26. There's a possibility, though, that it could go a little bit beyond that to confuse everybody. You know, it goes to sort of like January, February time. Everybody's thinking, oh, this is it. We're in a super cycle. We're in a super cycle. We're going to $1 million. Everyone loads in, and then, of course, down it goes to the 4-year cycle low. So it's pretty hard to say what's going to happen at the moment. But I think what's quite important is the sort of velocity that Bitcoin moves at. If it starts moving super quickly, and it's pushing and pushing and pushing, and we get to sort of October, November time, and it's really pushed hard at that point, my view is that I think that would probably be it. But if we have these continued sort of long periods of consolidation, up, consolidation, up, consolidation, then maybe we could be looking at a cycle that goes way beyond the 4-year cycle and could, you know, top out in sort of April, May time in 2026. But right now, there's nothing in the charts that's suggesting to me that that's going to happen. But all we can do is continue to monitor the situation, look at what's going on, look at all the indicators that we consider, you know, and make an educated guess as to what's going to happen. But as I say, at the moment, my view is that the 4-year cycle is still intact, but we've just got to continue to monitor the situation and see what happens in the months to come. I think what you've also got to remember is that the real sort of gains in Bitcoin come in a very short space of time. And I'll give you an example. So this was the previous high. The second previous high back in sort of December 2017. So that was its high there, around about 20K, depending on which chart you look at. And when Bitcoin finally came to break that high in 2020, the meat of the move for Bitcoin, the parabolic move, came in December 20 and kind of finished in April 21. Now, obviously, it had this sort of peak and then it dropped off, but then it came back up for a sort of a double top move to sort of finish the 4-year cycle, getting a little bit higher than the previous top, and then it rolled over. But really, the meat of the move was from here December to about sort of April 21. So December 2020 to April 21. And that's a sort of 16 weeks, you know, 112 days. So sort of 3-4 months. So it happens in a very, very short period of time. Okay. And that's why I'm talking about velocity and speed, you know, and the rate of velocity, because if Bitcoin starts really, really ripping, for example, in say it gets to its 150K target or so in August, up there, and then it consolidates for a while, and then it comes sort of, you know, October time, you know, it could really, really, really start ripping, you know, into end of December, beginning of January. That would be 13 weeks. And that would be enough for that parabola, you know, and then it rolls over. So, you know, it's a question of monitoring the charts and just seeing what Bitcoin's doing. If it's really, really pushing hard, then, you know, that's a good sign that these are the last weeks, months of this move before it rolls over. So let's look at the bear case, the bull case. So, or the base case, the bull case. Of course, the bear case would be everything's over now and it's going to roll over. I don't think that's going to happen. But my base case for Bitcoin this cycle is it's going to go to 150K. That's my sort of bearish base case. But my bull case is that we get to the top of this channel. Okay, and this channel has been respected for quite some time now. It started the channel back in December 17, and it's respected this channel so far for 2,758 days, or 394 weeks. So it's a long time. It's respected it at the top, the bottom, the bottom, the top, the top, the bottom here. So it's kind of respecting this channel. So this is a channel that we can't really ignore. And my super bullish case is that we get to the top of this channel. And if we get to the top of this channel around about when the 4-year cycle should start to look to roll over, because the sort of the bearish momentum of Bitcoin has always been about a year. So from there to there, it's been a year. So a year from top to bottom. So you usually get 1 year down, 3 years up. And if we can get to the top of this channel or thereabouts, around about the time that Bitcoin should be topping out, you could be looking at a Bitcoin of 250, 260K, which is, quite possible given the bullish factors and the tailwinds that we have at the moment with Bitcoin. So my base case or bearish case is 150K. My bullish case is to the top of this channel, and whenever Bitcoin reaches the top of this channel. If it reaches the top of the channel around about Q4, end of Q4, it could be, almost 300K. So 250, 300K would be my super bullish case. And then it would be nice to see it sort of roll over and then come back down to the bottom of this channel, which would be around this kind of area here, which could be anything between 100K to 75K. So anyway, we'll keep monitoring the channel, the charts, and see what's going on. So let's consider the bullish factors really for Bitcoin and crypto in general at the moment. Well, you've got liquidity. Liquidity, obviously, a lot of people talk about liquidity now. I mean, we've been talking about liquidity for years, but suddenly now everyone's talking about liquidity. So you've got liquidity coming. You've got a government who just changed the rules on SLRs. So you're going to have unlimited amounts of bond buying by the 5 major banks in the global banks and the US banks, and also that's going to be huge. So that's going to be also bringing massive amounts of liquidity into the system. Bitcoin follows liquidity. Risk assets in general follow liquidity, so they are going to continue to move to the upside. You've got the Genius Act, which is about to be passed, I think, which regulates stable coins. That's super bullish, and that's going to mean lots and lots of banks are going to get involved in crypto, and lots of other big institutions. And then you've got the Bitcoin treasury companies. And every sort of, it seems to be now every week a new either publicly traded company or private company comes out with news that they are now holding Bitcoin or will be holding Bitcoin as a treasury asset on their balance sheet. So these are all really, really super bullish tailwinds for crypto. And that's why there is this argument that the cycle could just keep grinding into 2026. I'm open to that idea, but right now, nothing is telling me that that's going to happen. If we continue to keep grinding through this year, and there's no sort of super vicious parabolic move to the upside, then I think there's a good argument that Bitcoin continues to grind. But it all depends on lots of factors, and those factors, all we can do is monitor those factors. But there are super bullish tailwinds for Bitcoin and crypto in general at the moment. So when alt season? Well, the answer to that is when basically Bitcoin dominance rolls over and when Ethereum breaks around about 3K. When Ethereum breaks 3K and starts really moving to the upside, that's going to have a massive effect on Bitcoin dominance, and it's then going to have a massive effect on the other sort of larger cap altcoins in the crypto sphere. They will start then moving, which will have a further effect on Bitcoin dominance. And once Bitcoin dominance starts to break down below 58%, which it did for a moment, back in December 24, then that's when it's going to start making its descent down to this area. And as I've said, many times before, when Bitcoin dominance, or if Bitcoin dominance gets anywhere close to sort of 46, 45, 44%, that is a real sort of indicator that, you should start to look to take profits or be cautious about your position. Certainly start taking some chips off the table, but certainly look to the basis that, or consider the basis that the cycle is almost over. What's interesting about this chart, and I'm showing the monthly chart, is the RSI. The RSI is ridiculously oversold. It's never been this oversold in the history of Bitcoin dominance. So that's telling me that, there's going to be some form of corrective move to the downside at the very least with Bitcoin dominance, or this is a top and it's really going to start ripping down to the bottom now in the months to come. But to be honest, as I said, going back to allocation, if you're properly allocated in the crypto space, then you don't need to really worry about this, because this will happen. But it's about patience and being properly allocated. And if you're properly allocated, that will allow you to have that patience and that ability to just go with the flow and be patient. Just having a couple of having a look at a couple of altcoins. Solana, one of the strongest altcoins out there, looks really strong. It's just been in this consolidation range for a long time now. From there really to here, so over a year, 67 weeks, it's been in this range, and it's been respecting this area of $118 for a considerable amount of time. Once this asset breaks out, it's going to go pretty parabolic in my view. Sounds mad, but I still think that Solana can go to $900 this cycle. It looks really strong compared to a lot of the altcoins out there. Sui as well. Sui, whatever you want to call it, extremely bullish looking chart. In the group, we got in around about here at around sort of 40 cents, 45 cents. We haven't sold anything. We've just been holding this asset for quite a long time now. Took some extra positions down here in August 24. Really nice looking chart. Just, it's got its major low here, then it's got a higher low here, and it's got a higher low here. This is probably going to be another higher low, and I would imagine it is going to move pretty violently to the upside when the altcoins resolve themselves. This particular asset, Sui, we had an original target. I wrote a report on it back here in October 23. Or September 23, actually. My original target was $8. However, then a few months later, I met the Sui team in Dubai. I spoke to them. I decided to double down on my position at that point. I know a lot of people in my group have very strong positions or large positions in Sui. We are looking for this to go probably beyond the $8 mark. My super bullish case for Sui is $20. And I know that sounds insane, but when looking at the size of its market cap, when considering what Solana did last cycle, when considering what Ethereum did the cycle before that, I think that it's entirely possible that it goes to $20. So that's it. Everything's looking fine. No need to worry. Make sure you're properly allocated at least for the next cycle. And if you want any help with that and understanding how to properly risk manage a portfolio and read charts and understand how to value assets properly, then reach out to us. Join the group. Cup of coffee a week. Well, what's that? It's nothing. All right. Take care. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye.